Good morning, everyone. It's another day of working on the camper. So now that we've got most of the inside finished, I'm going to start building the box that's going to hold our mini split unit on the inside. So this is brand new to me. I'm excited to get this done because once we get this finished, I can get the air conditioner hooked up, and that's just one big project that I can knock off the list of many more projects that we've got to do. So let me show you where it's going real quick inside the camper.
So I just wanted to pop in here and explain a couple of things. We have been working on this mini split for a little while, so the timeline on this video is kind of spread over several weeks, maybe even a little over a month. So when we started working on the mini split and building the box that the mini split would go on, we had not painted the interior walls yet. I wanted the box to be built ready for like to be up and painted along with the walls. So that's why we started on the project then, and then we thought that we would be working on the mini split right after we finished the walls. We would just be kind of going into this video. But that actually wasn't the case because we realized we needed to paint the outside because of the other part of the mini split that would be sitting on the frame of the camper on the outside needed to be painted before the actual things got situated. So it was kind of like a dilemma, but we just kind of rolled with it. So that is kind of why you'll see over the course of this video, we're kind of in different stages and we don't explain those, but you've already seen those stages, so just wanted to share.
Okay, that spot right there above the window is where this box, I'm just going to call it a box because it's not a cabinet, but it's where this box is going to go. It's going to run basically the width of the window, and then I'll have to measure again the height of the mini split, but I'm thinking it's like 13 inches high, so it'll be just a little bit more than that. So I guess first things first, it's time to measure my cuts. So now that I've got my width of what I've got cut, this piece of wood, 40 inches wide, I need to pull out the mini split so I can see how tall it is. Like I said, I think it's like 13 inches, 13 or 15 inches, I can't really remember. And then I will determine the best way to cut this so that I minimize waste, because I'm gonna have a lot left over and we could use this somewhere else, like in cabinets, but I want to make sure that I get the most out of this piece of plywood, this 4x8 sheet of plywood. Now that I've gotten this out of the box, pull this foam off. Oh, and let's see here. Okay, so I was pretty close to what I thought I remembered. It is 1 foot, so it's 12 inches in height. And I already know that I've got the width down pat, but just to let you know, the width is 31.5 inches. So that 40 inches by, I think what I'm going to do is 15 inches tall, is going to give me definitely enough space to hang this mini split. Okay, so I've got my cuts here. Let me grab my tape measure. So 14 inches, and disregard the other lines because I kind of messed that up there. But anyways, that's my 40 by 14, and these other lines is exactly why you measure twice. Because if I would assume that that was right, I would have been bad off. So now I'm fixing to get the skill saw out and see how straight of a cut I can make with this. I was debating on how exactly I wanted to install this box to the wall, and I was kicking around some ideas. Well, I actually had some angle iron left over from a project, and I thought that may be the best way to do it. So let me show you what I did. So I just took my angle iron here and got it centered and got it level, and then I just took some self-tapping screws and screwed it into the metal, as you can tell right there. It's pretty freaking sturdy. I was a little worried that it was just going to be a lot of weight on this metal here, but as I kept screwing them in, I was like, man, this is pretty freaking tight. I don't think that's going anywhere, because one of my thoughts was is just to go through the two ends, one on each side and down the center, and just drill straight through and put a bolt. And that's still an option that's on the table. I'll know more once I put this box up, because the weight will be pulling it down here. So that's my next project, is to try to figure out how to secure the box on the top part. I think I've got some more of this left, and I think that may be the best thing to do, but I'll just have to kind of wait and see. My first piece is cut. I think I did pretty good. Now once I get done with all these, I'm going to go back with a sander and sand these edges smooth before I start assembling all of these pieces together. So this was the biggest cut I'll have to do. I'm not going to cut the sides today, because once I get this installed, I do want to have access in the space so that I can hook everything up in regards to the mini split. So first piece, I'm pretty proud. It's done. Now it's time to start cutting some of the other pieces. While I was up, what I ended up doing was taking another L bracket for the top and then putting a 2x2. Well, I took the L bracket and then I screwed it to the wall. Then I took a 2x2 and screwed into it. And then, as you can see, you can probably see my screw holes right here. If not, I just screwed this into that. But this is going nowhere. I'm still not 100% certain if I'm going to leave it like this, or if I'm going to drill a hole straight through and take a long bolt and make sure that it is secured from the outside of the camper to the inside. I'll see once I put this mini split on there, but I think I'm pretty good. As a matter of fact, I'm fixing to go get the mini split and see what it looks like attached to this. Let's see if I can get this on here and clip and see what it looks like. This is a lot more weight than I thought. I think that goes in there first, like so. I think it's in there. I'm almost certain. Not too shabby. Doesn't stick out too much. I don't have a tape measure in here, but that's one thing that we were concerned about was we knew it was going to have to come out a little bit from the wall just so that we could go up for the height. I wanted to minimize the depth as much as possible because we knew this was going to come out a little more. So we'll be sleeping under this a little bit, but not by much. This wall is not moving at all. So first test is good. Well, today's going to be a little bit different of a day than it has been for me for the past few weeks. So first, I'm not gonna have to measure anything. I'm not going to have to cut anything. I'm not gonna have to screw anything into place or glue anything, but I am gonna have to paint something. So I'm going to actually start getting back to the project of the air conditioner. We've got the mini split, the interior part already installed, or at least mounted to the wall. So I'm going to take the fan part, or I think it's called the condenser, or whatever it's called, that's going to be mounted on the outside, and I'm going to paint it so that it matches the white here. Okay, well, it's the next day, and the air unit should be completely dried. I haven't went and checked it yet, but it should be dried enough. And I've went to the local hardware store. I bought me a 10-foot stick of Unistrut, and I cut it down into 2-foot sections. Now, I could have bought already pre-cut 2-foot sections, but for 2 of those was basically the same price as just buying a 10-foot stick. So that's what I did. I ended up with 5 2-foot sections for the price of basically 2. I've just sprayed those with a white spray paint, and I'm going to wait for those to dry. Now, it may take a little bit longer to dry because it's overcasted today. Weather's kind of cool. Looks like it's going to rain, feels like it's going to rain, but it's not supposed to rain. So I'm hoping that it doesn't, so I can start mounting the air unit to the actual hitch part of the camper. Okay, so after the paint dried on the Unistrut brackets, I went ahead and mounted them onto the frame of the camper. One side I drilled all the way through and used stainless steel bolts to attach it to the frame. The other side I couldn't drill all the way through because there is trailer hitch wiring running through there, and I did not want to damage that. So what I did was just use some stainless steel screws and screwed into the frame there, and it seemed to hold pretty well. After I did that, I put the air conditioner on those brackets, and I made sure before I did any of that I had enough clearance to turn the hitch handle, or whatever it's called, the handle, without hitting the air conditioner. So after I got the brackets secured to the frame, I went ahead and put the stainless steel bolts through the legs of the air conditioner onto the brackets, or through the brackets onto the bottom, and tighten those up too. Now the 2 on the back I haven't done yet because I needed smaller sizes, but let me show you a better look at what I was just talking about. So that is the stainless steel bolt that I have going through the legs and go all the way down to the bottom. They are a little long, so what I do need to do tomorrow when I go get the other bolts is get a spacer or get a couple more washers to make up that space there, so I can get it nice and tight. So on the front, this is on both fronts, and then on the back, I don't know if I'm going to go with the same or 2 smaller ones to go down these 2 smaller holes and have 2 bolts come down. Undecided yet. That'll be a decision I make tomorrow. Now the bolt that's going through the frame, just like the other bolt, oh there it is, just like the other bolt, was too long, so I've got to do the same thing with that. I've got to get some spacers, or a spacer or more washers, and I do need a lock nut. I forgot to buy a lock nut for that, so I'll do that tomorrow as well. So this side of the frame, you can see the 2 bolts that are coming down. Those are going all the way through the frame, through the Unistrut, and attached there. And then this air conditioner is just going to be attached to the Unistrut here. I've gotten the spacers that I needed and more washers that I needed to eliminate the gap in the bolts because they were a little too long. So I've got those installed. I just need to tighten it up a little bit with my socket set and get it nice and tight. But I went and bought the wiring that I needed to hook up the air conditioner to my breaker box. So I've got that, and I've got the liquid tight that I'm going to surround the electrical with as well, and some fittings needed to do that. So first, what I need to do is start off by just drilling. I've got to drill a hole through the camper so that I can run the electrical through into the breaker box, and then I'll start hooking things up. Alright, well, my battery died on me earlier, and I was in a groove and did not want to go get up. But I'll just kind of recap what's going on here. So I've got my liquid tight wire here, which is going to my breaker box. And then this right here is a 14.3 wire. And then this is going to control the actual unit that's hanging up indoor. So it's just kind of like runs back to the computer here. Pretty easy to hook up. I won't take this cover off right at the moment, but I will say that there is 3 wires and your ground that's going into the indoor unit, and then of course the 2 wires in the ground that runs to your breaker box. So I've got all that hooked up. I've got it hooked up to the breaker box. Now this wire is not going to go in here. We're actually going to run this wire straight up, and we're going to cut a hole above the window. That way it just goes straight in and elbows over to the actual unit indoor. But yeah, I'll show you that real quick. So the indoor wire and the copper tubing is going to run basically alongside the window there, and then right above it it's going to 90, and it's going to turn into the hole that I'll cut there, and it's going to go into the indoor unit. So basically it will come through that wall there, and then it will elbow right into here, because back behind that I've got the 2 refrigerant lines, and then the drainage line, and then my 14.2 will actually travel all the way over to this side. And basically when you flip that panel up, right behind that Lido logo is the area to run my wiring into. And then once I get that hooked up, everything should work fine. It has been nearly a week since I have last worked on the air conditioner. It's just, I had some other projects that I kind of wanted to tackle and get out of the way first. Those projects I will show you in another video later on down the road. But today I got back to finishing up the air unit. So it was actually pretty easy, a lot easier than I thought it was going to be when I first started. And it was basically installing the electrical to the indoor unit, the 2 gas lines, and the drain line from the indoor unit to the main unit. So I was mainly scared because there was going to have to be a hole drilled in the camper the way that we had it configured. So once I got that step out of the way, it became actually pretty easy to do. Now there were some things that I will show you that I did different compared to like the one that we have in our house, which we do have a mini split in our house too. It's just on a larger scale, and I did not install that one because I didn't feel confident enough to do it. But with the smaller one, and after seeing the mini split that we do have and watching a lot of videos and reading about it, I felt confident enough to be able to do this. So let me show you kind of what I've done today, and then what I do have left, because there is one small but major part that I have left before I can fully use this thing. So let me show you what I've got. Here's the indoor unit there, and as you can see, my line's going out. Now we chose to go out this way because the window, you can see the window right here, If I went out this way, we could run the lines right down parallel to that window and then get it covered and covered up. Now, there are some things that I do have left, like there's some cleaning up that I've got to do. That's what I call it. So I've got to wrap this and then wrap a lot of stuff on the outside. But yeah, that's basically it. So those are my two refrigerant lines, my drain line, and my power to the indoor unit. And it all runs basically along the back side of this unit here to this side. And if I was to flip this up, which I will, you can see the power right there. And it tells you actually on the inside of this this cover what color wires go where, and then you just match it up on the outside. You can tell it's labeled 1, 2, 3, and then ground. So red, black, white, and then of course your green's your ground. And you just unscrew that screw and push those in there, and then screw it down tight. Now that's the only thing I had to actually feed into the back of this. And luckily enough, that wire came with this unit, which I didn't know before I bought wire. I guess that's a mistake on myself, but it does come with that wire. It comes with all the fittings on the end, so you just basically run it from in here to your indoor unit back to your outside unit, and just match the numbers with the colors from inside to outside. But everything else comes already installed, your two refrigerant lines and your drain line, but it does stop about right here on the back side, and you do have to screw that in. It comes with a flared end, a male flared end, so you just take your copper lines that come with it and screw it in, and then run it out the window there. So let's head outside. Okay, so there's the electrical outside here, and like I said, everything's numbered 1, 2, 3. There's your ground and your load, your neutral, and your ground wire. Now those are for your breaker, which I had already ran previous in the other day. And then I just took this Liquid-Tight, and that's kind of what's going to keep that in place and keep it safe from the elements here. But I left this panel off because I wanted to show you the hookups in here and just basically how easy it is. Here is my refrigerant line and my cable running out and then down into the actual unit. And like I said, there is a lot of cleaning up I've got to do. Like I've got to take the excess electrical wire, and I'm going to run it up and down and zip tie it to the two refrigerant lines. And then I've got to get a cover and paint that cover to where it matches the white and the green that's on the camper. So, but you may be able to notice my 1/4 inch is really flexible, and so you're able to bend this with ease without crimping it. So that's what I did here. But the 1/2 inch, I decided that I wanted to come out and then elbow straight down and not have a bend in it. And I need to push that back. But like our house, it just comes out and just makes a big long loop and a bend, and I didn't want that. So in our house, it just comes out and makes a long bend, and I didn't want that there. So my 1/2 inch, I just elbowed it and then came down and then elbowed it again right here, and then went over to the actual unit, which you can see right there. So it was pretty easy cutting this copper. I already had a cutter. You just twirled around it and barely put some pressure on it as you go, and it makes a clean cut. And then I had this little tool that you cleaned it with. And then I had already bought some of these flare nuts, and basically all you do is once you get it cut, you just put this nut up here, and I've got a flaring tool. I'll show you that here in a minute. And you just match it up and flare your end, and then pull this down, and then use some of that that paste is what I used on my threads before I screwed it in there and screwed it tight. Okay, so the small but yet most important part before I can fully use this thing is to vacuum these lines out. Now, I have them still turned to where they're sealed and nothing's running through these lines yet, but I don't have a vacuum. I know you can get them pretty inexpensive on Amazon. The problem is I'm tired of spending a lot of money on this project, especially with something I'm only going to use one time. So I have a neighbor who actually installed our unit. I'm gonna see if he can come down here and vacuum this line out, or if he'll just let me borrow his gauge and I'll vacuum it out. Okay, so here's the tools I used when it came down to cutting that copper, which my cutters are in there in the shed. I didn't get those out, but it's just got a wheel on it, and you clamp it down and you just move over and over and over the copper until it just makes a good cut. But this tool right here is basically used to clean the burrs off of the pieces you cut. You just run it in here and then run it into your copper line there to clean it off before you use the flare tool. Now, I've never used a flare tool before. It seems pretty simple and pretty easy. Basically what you do is you'll just find, like for instance, that 1/4 inch line. You just find your 1/4 inch, you shove you put the line in there, clamp it down, and you'll leave a little, about an 1/8 of an inch above, and then you take this little tool here that's got that point on it, and you put it over here like so, and then you just basically go right above the pipe with this, and then you just screw it down until it flares and is flush with this right here. So after that, you just take it off, and you should be good. Just the only advice is, luckily enough, this didn't happen to me, and I can't believe that it didn't, is make sure before you flare your end that you go ahead and put your nut on your copper line. Otherwise, you'll be cutting your line and doing it again. So, words to live by there. Hallelujah. I did not do that. So, but I do have some things here, like the sealing clay. That's going to go in the hole that I had to cut in the trailer. I do have some wrap right there that I will put around the hoses and make sure that they are tight and secure to each other before I do anything else. One thing this unit did come with that I don't know if we're going to use or not is pretty cool. I didn't know we had it. Is your smart control kit. So it's Alexa activated, and it's basically just a USB stick that you put somewhere. I don't know where. I have to look and see. But given that they will be in this camper, and I don't expect that we'll have Amazon Alexa in here, so that's that.
Alright guys, I think we are at the end of this video. It is a super long one, but we definitely covered all of the steps to getting the mini split prepared and set up and situated. So we do have a little bit of cleanup, like we said, around the wires on the outside and the inside. And then we have to find the tool or someone to do the vacuuming of the lines. But that is it. We have done it, and we are so close to being done with this camper. We really have just a couple of more videos to the end. So thank you guys for following along, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.